turkey and dressing and pie and cake, turkey and turkey.
And fruit salad and whipped cream and cranberries. Gee, I can hardly wait. Me too.
Turkey.
Well, you know, children, we've had a lot of expenses this month, and, well, your father and I thought that...
Turkey.
Well, the truth of the matter is, there just won't be any turkey this year.
No turkey for Thanksgiving?
Oh, I'm going to make a pumpkin pie. We'll have plenty to eat, but, well, we'll just have to get along without turkey.
It won't be Thanksgiving at all.
Even the Pilgrims had a feast. After all, isn't that what Thanksgiving's for? I don't think it's fair.
And it was right there that I came in, right in the thick of it. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Paul.
Hello, Mother, Dick, Susan. Well, what's been going on around here? What's the matter with everybody, anyway?
Mom says we're not going to have any Thanksgiving. No turkey, no good thing.
A fat lot we're gonna have to be thankful for.
Oh, I don't think you kids really mean that.
We do, too. We've always had turkey for Thanksgiving.
Yes, and everybody else in the block's gonna have it this year, as always.
Yes, we've always had turkey, just as a lot of Americans have had it, and we'll keep on having it. Turkey on Thanksgiving's a great American tradition. But what you kids are saying makes it sound as if the turkey's the only thing we had to be thankful for.
Well, gee whiz, no, Dad. It's not that at all.
Oh, I know, Dick. See, it's easy to lose sight of what Thanksgiving really means.
Birds are dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs.
Thanksgiving will never be the same.
You may think that this is a turkey. This is a dinosaur. Deinonychus has a thigh just like that. A dinosaur hand. No other animal, extinct or living besides birds and dinosaurs, have this wraparound ankle bone. So from shoulder to hip to knee to ankle, a turkey is a dinosaur.
Birds are dinosaurs. Birds are living dinosaurs. We actually classify them as dinosaurs. We now call them non-avian dinosaurs and avian dinosaurs. So the non-avian dinosaurs are the big clunky ones that went extinct. Avian dinosaurs are our modern birds. You can't argue with it because we're the classifiers and we've classified it that way.
If a little kid today studies all this in school, and they look up in the sky and see a bird and turn to mom and say, you know, that's a dinosaur.
They're right.
They're right.
They're right.
Birds are dinosaurs.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Paleontologizing. Happy Thursday. Happy THEROPODSGIVIng. So good to have all of you here today for this early stream. Starting what? Almost 2 hours early today? A little bit later than I was hoping to, but anyway, we're here, and it's going to be a short stream because I'm going to have to go help get ready for Thanksgiving dinner. Lordy is up there setting the table and doing some cooking. I think she's making eggnog. If we're really lucky, she might bring us some later. But, yeah, I'm glad you're here. We're going to be talking all about the dinosaurian origin of birds today with a special focus on turkeys, of course. It is Turkey Day here in the States. The one day out of the year when it's like millions of American families sit down and discuss the anatomy of a theropod dinosaur, and then they go on to dissect it, all gathered around the table. What a perfect opportunity to talk about theropod anatomy, about the origin of birds, about how dinosaurs are not extinct. They are still around us today. There are thousands of species of these animals. Probably see them every day. Anywho, if you're here for the very first time, allow me to introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach. Talking about fossils, talking about the history of life on Earth, talking about extinction and evolution, and there is a pretty heavy emphasis on dinosaurs, because dinosaurs are what I study, what I publish on in the scientific literature, and what I dig up when I'm out in the field. I do my very best to stream that whenever I can. We spent 11 weeks in the field this summer, digging up dinosaurs and streaming nearly every day. And then when I'm not out in the field, I'm back here in my office, going over new scientific papers, interviewing other paleontologists remotely, just trying to keep you up to date on what's new and exciting in paleontology. Q&A is really the kind of the majority of what we do around here. The fact that this is on Twitch, these are live interactive broadcasts, makes it all the more easy to do that kind of meaningful outreach, I find. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. We're gonna have a fun, chill stream today, talking about birds, but and there you go, Mayor Space, yeah. Anywho, it's good to have everybody here, including you, Utah Raptor 14. Utah Raptor is pretty close to the origin of birds. Might actually be closer than anybody realizes. One of these days we'll get Jim here to talk about that. But yeah. Anywho, but yeah. And Mayor of Space, is this a cardigan? I would call this a sweater vest. I think a cardigan has sleeves, right? Anyway, this is my my Thanksgiving look today. You know, we're dad coded for this special holiday stream. Yeah, call me a father-pilled pop cell. We're dad maxing today. I'm not actually a father that I know of. But you know, it's a special day. I figured I'd dress up. Seems like a proper Thanksgiving look, right? This is, oh, yeah, there is Fisher. You're right. I always forget about him. My only begotten son. Thank you, Claire. But anyway, yeah. I bought myself a sweater vest last year, and it makes an appearance one day out of every year. That day is Thanksgiving Day, or THEROPODSGIVING Day here on Paleontologizing. Yeah. But you still got shorts on, though? Niffler, I do not. Look. Ha! Long pants. That's how you can tell this is a special occasion. I changed into long pants, and I've got a fan blowing at me right now to keep me cool. Because otherwise I will overheat. Anywho, yeah. Look like Doug Funny. Don't say that, Mayor Space. But, Padre Paleo. There you go, Gary and Kellis. Yeah. Anywho.
A real mean kid.
Yenzoku.
With 6-inch daggers for teeth, he was the terror of his neighborhood.
Aren't you already following? Did you accidentally click the unfollow button? Welcome. It's good to have you here. But yeah. Want to get some theropod news? There we go, Dr. Terry. Nice. Okay. Abelosaur orbits. That's interesting. Okay. Looks like that link isn't working, though. Oh, I gotta copy and paste the whole thing. Well, it'll show up later. Anyhow. And, Durus Magnus. Well. I was just at that museum, like, last week. Durus Magnus, thank you so much for the 5 months of support. Never stop learning. Glad you're here. We've got 124 people watching right now on Thanksgiving Day. I wasn't sure if I was going to stream today, but we ran that little poll on Monday, and people wanted to tune in, so I'm doing a short stream today. Glad you could make it. Yeah. And happy Theropodsgiving to you too, Lordy. It's Theropod, by the way, with an O. There's no A in theropod. Just like there's no I in peep. But yeah, it isn't a thing here in the UK. I know, visibly upset. I know. So instead, you know, here, can we pull up the turkey command? I don't think I made any references to Thanksgiving on that infographic, because I know that Thanksgiving is an American and to a certain extent Canadian holiday. Canadian one's on a different day. But I put together this infographic people can take to their Thanksgiving Day dinner or their Christmas goose feast or their Boxing Day budgie ritual. Whatever bird carcasses you're dismembering and eating, for whatever reason, I'm not a meat guy, this is still relevant. Each of the different features that are mentioned on our turkey skeleton here, those are going to be consistent across every bird, I think. Yeah, save for moas, I guess. The risks, you won't have them on moas. They got no moa arms. Anywho, yeah. If you're the sort of person who eats birds, weird, but if that's the sort of person you are, then this should be really helpful, I would hope. Anywho, Easter emu, there you go, comes in Carnotaurus, yeah. And Alexander says, I see no differences. Yeah, it's, corporate wants you to... Corporate wants you to tell the difference between those two. And, yeah, they're the same picture. Good stuff. Yeah. And which dinosaurs have wishbones, says Weird Adult? The theropods. So, here, let's pull up a dinosaur phylogeny. There we are. It's funny how Herrerasauria gets its own little branch. Let's ignore that. But yeah, within Dinosauria... no, this is... okay, Ornithoscelida. Goodness, why is it this one that keeps showing up again and again? It's no longer really correct. Like that was a weird flash in the pan. That Ornithoscelida hypothesis. Phytodinosaur. Here we go. Oh, no, that doesn't really... These are all weird alternative hypotheses. Give me the mainstream one. That's what we want here. Do some more digging around. No, not ornithischian dinosaurs. We want it for all of Dinosauria, please. Why is this so difficult? Oh, goodness. Bear with me, chat. We'll get there. Here we go. That's what we want. Okay. So here's an evolutionary family tree of the dinosaurs. So everything that evolves from this ancestor is a dinosaur by definition. You've got two main halves of the dinosaur family tree, Ornithischia and Saurischia, the bird-hipped dinosaurs and the lizard-hipped dinosaurs. It kind of helps to actually ignore what those terms mean. Bird-hipped versus lizard-hipped, because they're backwards. Birds did not evolve from the bird-hipped dinosaurs. They evolved from the lizard-hipped dinosaurs. It's a funny story. Anyway, birds are right here. They're a kind of theropod dinosaur. So theropods are your true two-legged, mostly meat-eating dinosaurs. Your theropods. This is everything from gigantic Spinosaurus to the tiniest hummingbird. They're all theropods. This is the most diverse group of dinosaurs, the most speciose, and today the most successful. They're the only ones still around, represented by the birds. But anyway, yeah, these are the dinosaurs that have wishbones, and we have them as early on as in Coelophysis, way back in the Triassic period. We've got wishbones on these guys, good old Coelophysis. Which is really cool. So some of the earliest meat-eating dinosaurs we have, well, the earliest dinosaurs were all meat-eaters as far as we know. But, yeah, some of these guys, they already had wishbones way back in the Triassic. So it's something that seems to be at the very ancestry of Theropoda. They've already got wishbones. Birds inherited that from their
dinosaurs were the sort of creatures you might think of as inhabiting another planet.
Love or not. Thank you,
or the kind you dream
for the
of.
30 months of support.
Nightmare.
Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Fluff says, it's been great learning about dinosaurs, and I will hopefully continue to learn even more. I hope so, too. Thanks for keeping me here online for the past 30 months, Fluff. I really appreciate it. Me eating hummingbirds sounds terrifying. Diatoms Attack says, I mean, I agree. Yeah. Imagine that, like, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, but it's just, the sequel could be The Hummingbirds. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you're doing well, Diatoms Attack. Can we get a shout out for Diatoms here? If you'd like to follow a fellow paleontologist or paleoecologist, diatomist, microscopist, scientist, follow Diatoms Attack. Learn what diatoms are, why they're so important, and how to fend off an attack by these microorganisms, which are ubiquitous. Are there airborne diatoms? Diatoms Attack? I know they live in freshwater and saltwater. Do they get suspended in the air and float around too? I wonder. But yeah, this is true, Charlie's Dragon, yeah. Yeah. I'm a list of ists, says Diatoms Attack. It's true, yeah. You wear many hats. And Claire says that's why diatomaceous earth is bad to breathe, right? Well, I mean, it can become... When it turns to dust and it floats around, yeah, that can get into your lungs and cause problems. Yeah. Second, there you go, Crimson. Yeah. There are diatoms that can be found in clouds, living, but they're there by accident. Oh, okay, I got you. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. So there's no specialized aerial diatoms. Good to know. Anyhow, we have so many tabs open this earthly phone. What are we doing here? Like I said, Lordy is working on setting up the table for Thanksgiving. This is my picture from last year, I think, but I wanted to show that again. Big Allosaurus skull. Posted this to Blue Sky this morning. People are liking it. Makes me happy. I don't know, Thanksgiving it's always been a special holiday for me because I've always had to kind of like find reasons to get excited about it. Growing up as a kid, for as long as I can remember, I didn't really like turkey or ham or a lot of the Thanksgiving foods. And like, I don't know. But there's something fun and special about a holiday where it's like, here's a special day, you can look forward to it. You make the most of it. And then it was around that time when I was a kid that this hypothesis that birds evolved from dinosaurs really became not just mainstream among paleontologists, but it became well accepted. It was around that time that these feathered dinosaurs started showing up left and right in Liaoning province, China, and it was a big deal, you know? Suddenly, that Thanksgiving turkey is not just a bird, it's a dinosaur. That kind of captured my imagination as a child, and that fascination continues to today, and it's wonderful to be able to share that with you. Yeah. And that is cool, Diatoms. Yeah. And that skull print, that's supposed to be fragilis, I think, Alexander Morrison. Yeah. Aerophyte diatoms can live in mosses, tree bark, soil, tank bromeliads, etc. Very cool. That's neat, diatoms.
Jolly good show, chaps.
Today's going to be kind of a loosey-goosey stream and a short one, so I'm glad you're all here. Going to dive into some theropod dinosaur stuff. take a look at... Where'd that go? Already watched a few of these. Here, give me a second here. I've got a good list of them. Titans do not live on turkeys that we know of. There you go. Yeah. Let's see. Take a look at this, just to start us off.
Well, as you sit down to your turkey dinner this Thanksgiving, you probably won't be thinking much about dinosaurs. I understand that.
Excuse me? Excuse you? We definitely will be thinking about dinosaurs. At least I will be.
I understand that. But one thing somebody's going to do at some point is pick up the wishbone. You snap it, make a wish, the guy with the big part gets the wish, whatever. Hang on to that for a minute and listen to this. Now, when I was growing up, of course, dinosaurs were extinct. Everybody knew that. What we all know now is they're not really extinct, they're still among us, or their descendants are. As a matter of fact, that's one of them you've got in front of you right now. And the thing that made us realize this, oddly enough, is the wishbone, the furculum.
So, that's one of the things that made us realize that. It's the thing that you'll learn when you learn more and more about science, is that oftentimes there's not like a single eureka moment, you know? Like, we all know the story of... Sometimes it's even in textbooks in, like, elementary and middle school. Some singular, momentary occurrence where suddenly a new discovery happens, an idea is born. You know, it's the classic story of sitting underneath the tree and then out of the tree, you know, falls a monkey, hits Charles Darwin in the head, and suddenly he has the idea for evolution, you know? It didn't really happen that way. It didn't happen that way at all. Usually scientific ideas, especially big, broad ones, they take years or decades to kind of solidify. Because in science, we're all about following the evidence where it leads and testing hypotheses. Very seldom is there a single instance that you can pinpoint when a new idea comes to the fore. It's usually a slow build-up, usually multiple people, sometimes dozens or hundreds of scientists working on separate continents around the world, and they are all kind of working on these problems and slowly coming to a conclusion more or less together. That's kind of how it happened with the origin of birds. Realizing that birds evolved from dinosaurs, that didn't happen overnight. In fact, it's something that started way back in the 1800s. And it only really became a done deal, like, packaged up and tied with a little bow on top, by the late 1990s or early 2000s. There's so many different lines of evidence that came together, and then the discovery of fossil feathers on dinosaurs really helped seal the deal after well over 100 years of study. And Kenzoku, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Did you just accidentally unfollow and refollow? Welcome, welcome. Yeah. But yeah. And where's this monkey? That was in the Galapagos scoops. Yeah, here. It's in a book. I can show you. Here we go. Another classic story of old Chucky D. Let's find Ecuador. That has the entry for the Galapagos. Ecuador, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, Galapagos, birthplace of evolution. Located 600 miles west of Ecuador, the Galapagos Islands are home to a vast array of unique species, as well as the tree that Charles Darwin was sitting under when a monkey fell on his head, giving the idea for evolution. Didn't actually happen that way. I know that's what we've all been taught in school, but yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about today, is how this idea that birds evolved from dinosaurs, it's always kind of been there on the back burner, but it really took an accumulation of decades worth of evidence and then new discoveries of fossils with feathers from China in the 90s to really seal the deal. And even today, there are a small handful of scientists who they're opposed to the idea that birds evolved from dinosaurs, but they are an extraordinarily small minority. So yeah. And there you go, Mayor Space. That makes sense. Yeah. And Snow Denshi, I talk about this all the time, actually. Yeah. I didn't learn evolution in school. My high school biology teacher, this is not a joke, did not really believe in biology. It was a whole thing. But anyway, I've talked about this before. We'll talk about it again sometime, I'm sure. I'd like to hear their arguments. I mean, they were mostly misremembered half-truths. Actually, this has to do with Darwin. This would have been February of 2008. February 12th, 2008, in fact. Yeah, so I was there in biology class. I think it was first period. And then, for whatever reason, the teacher, she was talking about bats.
This is the Rosetta Stone of meat-eating dinosaurs.
George from New York, thank you.
There is no such a thing as a Rosetta Stone in science.
I appreciate that. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, George from New York. Thank you, thank you. Anyway, first period biology class, 9 in the morning or whatever, 8 in the morning. Teacher starts talking about bats for some reason. And she says something to the effect of well, bats are really remarkable animals. It's amazing the way that God created them because, as we all know, all bats are completely blind. And in his wisdom, God created most of those bats without eyes. So most bats don't even have eyes. And I distinctly remember that moment because, everybody in the classroom turned around to look at me. Because I had a reputation for, being interested in dinosaurs, being interested in natural history and evolution. And I didn't want to get into it with the teacher, so I basically just, got up and started to walk myself to the principal's office, like I used to do. And then somewhere along the way, oh, hang on. George from New York, thank you for the 5 gift subs there. Hey, really appreciate that. Thank you kindly. There are 5 very lucky chatters who won't have to worry about a single ad for the next month, and I appreciate that, George from New York. Thank you. Good stuff. Yeah. Should have fired on all batteries on them. I mean, I used to do that, and then it was respectful and everything, but it was still considered disruptive to show an actual science book and show citations in there to actual papers and be like, this is what you're teaching us is wrong. Anyway, so on my way to the principal's office, I'm like, what am I even doing here? I don't have anything meaningful going on for the rest of the day anyway, or at least for that morning, so I decided to just, rather than walk to the principal's office, cut school and go hop on the train and go off to Berkeley. And it was on that day, it must have been February 12th, 2008. It was the 200th birthday of Charles Darwin. So I show up there to hang out with some paleontologist friends, because I used to volunteer at the museum. And I walk in just as they're getting a birthday cake ready. With, I think they had 20 candles on it, and each one signified a decade. But it was a birthday cake for Charles Darwin, and we all sang happy birthday, and I got to have some cake, and it was a really good day. Anywho, it's one of those things that it's always going to stick with me. You know, if I write an autobiography, it's going to be in there. So, yeah. Well, yeah. Crimson Carnotaurus says, I tagged a swear word on the bike shed. What are you in for? I talked about science. Yeah. Science! Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. When the cookery teacher was teaching us French but didn't actually speak French. Yeah, it's... Yeah. And there you go, George from New York. Yeah, I want to emphasize, like, I wasn't mean or nasty or rude or anything like that. It was just, like, it was mostly disbelief, like, why are you teaching us these things that are clearly incorrect? And, like, how is it that a 15-year-old kid knows more about science than the science teacher? You know what I mean? It was a good school apart from that. Like, it was a religious school, but, like, a lot of the classes were related. I had an excellent, like, English and writing education. Really superb. But, oh man, in terms of science, it was abysmal. Yeah, and this wasn't like a public California school. Even though there are huge problems with biology, especially evolution, not being properly taught in American public schools anyway. But yeah. Anyhow, and Crimson Carnotaurus, we talked about this the other day. Holy cow, Ken!
Fatality.
I really appreciate the 24 months of support there. Ken, I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. I hope you're excited for your move to New York. Ken is going to be going to school for paleontology in New York. And, oh man, it's going to be great. Yeah. Anywho, people were talking about going to Catholic school and being taught proper science. That's the thing, is that on average here in the U.S., Catholic schools tend to offer better biology education, including evolution, than public schools do. So I know paleontologists and evolutionary biologists who are like, I'm not religious, I'm not Catholic, but I send my kids to a Catholic school because I know at least a Catholic school is going to teach them evolution. Whereas the public school, which is kind of under the thumb of creationists oftentimes, they will not be teaching evolution in those schools. So, yeah. Catholic schools actually have a really good reputation. Anywho, yeah. So imagine the horse. Yeah, Alexander. Yeah. Anywho. Diet Tom says, my daughter's teachers have learned not to bring up science topics unless they're ready for a 10-year-old to give them a 20-minute lecture on praying mantids or on the variety of foxes. That's awesome, Diet Toms. That's really cool. Yeah. And Ken just says, Wyoming. Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, how good of a biology education are you going to get in a one-room shack where there's 6 kids, everyone from pre-K through high school, and one teacher who lives in a shack behind the school, you know? And she's a shepherd in her off time. I'm just kidding, Ken. I know Wyoming. We've spent a lot of time in Wyoming. Yeah. Lordy says, it's that little house on the prairie, Danny. Well, that's the thing. When I lived in Montana, and I used to do a lot of field work in the Hell Creek, they had schools like that out in like Garfield County, where there's like a little schoolhouse that's like 30 miles up a dirt road, and the dozen kids who live in that part of the county all show up for school like 4 days a week, and it's like one little schoolroom, and there's one teacher who teaches all of these kids that are, again, like from pre-K up through high school or whatever. It's still a thing in some parts of the country. So yeah, or at least it was when I was working there a decade ago or whatever. But yeah. Anyhow. We were looking at a 1-minute video here. We managed to get 27 seconds into it. I'm just going to start it over. And, yeah.
Well, as you sit down to your turkey dinner this Thanksgiving, you probably won't be thinking much about dinosaurs. I understand that. But one thing somebody's going to do at some point is pick up the wishbone. You snap it, make a wish, the guy with the big part gets the wish, whatever. Hang on to that for a minute and listen to this. Now, when I was growing up, of course, dinosaurs were extinct. Everybody knew that. What we all know now is they're not really extinct, they're still among us, or their descendants are. As a matter of fact, that's one of them you've got in front of you right now. And the thing that made us realize this, oddly enough, is the wishbone, the furcula. Turkeys haven't changed much over the eons. We've got a very complete fossil record.
And turkeys, what do you mean they haven't changed much over the eons? That's, oh boy. So an eon is a tremendous length of time. That's like it's like the biggest measure of time on the geological timescale. Anyway, turkeys have changed a good deal. I think only recently did the common ancestor of turkeys diversify, right? Paleagris, the turkey genus. I want to say it's like within the last couple million years. Hey there, that one guy. How you doing? Hello, hello. Yes. 4 million years ago, the common ancestor of our two modern turkeys diverged. And then they diverged from the grouse about 13 million years ago, so turkeys are not a particularly ancient lineage. They're really, really not. Yeah. We made it 2 seconds longer into the video, says Diatoms. 3 seconds, thank you. That's 30 seconds. We were at 27 earlier.
And they've always had furcula. It's both the animal's collarbones fused into a single, very flexible bone. It's a pretty unusual arrangement. Only 2 groups of animals have ever had that arrangement. The galliforms, which are today's turkeys, chickens, pheasants, and, you guessed it, certain types of dinosaurs.
No. What? That's completely incorrect. I'm sorry. This is something that all birds and all theropod dinosaurs have. So basically all theropods have this. They're saying it's just galliforms and non-avian theropods? That is completely incorrect. What? So the furcula is a feature that all modern birds have. Yeah. The forked bone found in, I guess, in most birds. Okay. And some species of non-avian dinosaurs. So which birds don't have it? It's news to me. There are many species where the furcula is completely absent? What? For instance, scrub birds. Scrub birds. A scrub bird. Okay, I guess they look like this. They're Australian, I presume, because I've never heard of them. There are 2 species. One was so rare it was presumed to be extinct until 1961. Okay, from Australia. So they don't have a wishbone? They're ground-dwelling birds. Okay, I guess that makes sense. I guess all of your birds that got rid of their furcula, flight is no longer important to them, because the furcula is a really important bone for the attachment of flight muscles. Presumably they can fly, but they just don't fly often. They are adept at scuttling mouse-like undercover to avoid notice. They run fast, but their flight is feeble. That makes perfect sense. Because again, the furcula, that wishbone there, really important as an attachment point for flight muscles. Yeah. And what was T-Rex doing with it? Well, it's a theropod synapomorphy. It's something that theropods just have. Yeah. Who else doesn't have a furcula nowadays? Some toucans, really. New World barbets? Okay. Some owls don't have it? Really? Some parrots, turicos, and mesites. That makes sense. These guys, the mesites, are either flightless or near flightless. So each one of those birds that's lost the furcula, they've gotten rid of the wishbone, they're just not particularly good flyers, I guess. Yeah. Huh. Anyway, so the way that the furcula works, it's a strut between the bird's shoulders and articulates to each of the bird's scapulae. I wonder if we can find a video on that. Let's see.
Ontogeny.
Alright, let's take a look at this and see if it's any good.
You're going to need specialized muscles to move those wings. So your pectoral muscles in particular are going to be very large.
Hundreds of muscles, tendons, and ligaments power a diverse range of wing movements.
Look at the CG
The
here.
centerpieces of this system are the flight muscles.
So there's the furcula right there, the wishbone right here. Yeah, which kind of helps join together the two shoulder girdles. And as I understand it, it kind of acts like a spring. So there's supposed to be some flexibility there in order to kind of keep everything together, but still allow for some movement, I guess.
Pectoralis major, and beneath it, supracoracoideus. Together, they form the engines of avian flight.
These are the biggest muscles in the bird's body, as far as I know.
When the pectoral muscles contract, they pull the humerus bone in each wing down, creating thrust and lift. In immediate response, the supracoracoideus, connected by a tendon to the top of the humerus, works like a pulley to lift the wing every time the muscle contracts.
This is another terrific design because this pulley system...
Uh-oh. Design? I am getting kind of a weird vibe from this. This isn't like a creationist thing, is it?
eliminates the need for a large, heavy muscle above the shoulder to lift the wing back up.
Yeah, right,
Instead,
Reiko?
the flight muscles are all below the wings, where they help create a compact center of gravity that really stabilizes the bird's body in the air.
Weird word choice, but so far it seems like everything they've stated is correct. Flight, the genius of birds, okay. I knew it. I can smell this thing from a mile away. It is like a creationist channel. Oh boy. What Darwin didn't know. The design inference. Oh boy. Darwin's dilemma. Oh, goodness. Oh, we're gonna do our duty here and mark that down. Yeah. So that's the thing, is they try and lure you in with some stuff that's like, it's decent information, but then they can't help but just insert these little bits of like coded language in there. You know? Yeah, they have one trick, don't they, says Racodactylus. Yeah. Yeah. There you go, Cacklin's work, yeah. Rincano says, only in the US? Unfortunately, that's not the case. This sort of thing is also common across the UK. It's reared its head in Canada as well. There's a lot of like creationism stuff in Mexico. South Korea is rife with all kinds of creationist stuff like this. And then countries like Turkey are probably where this sort of thing is the most common. Like the official state curricula were actually just basically written by creationists. So it's a huge problem worldwide. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Any place where the people in power feel threatened by the idea of proper biological education, creationism like this, anti-science can take root and spread, and it's a big problem. Yeah. We don't see this in Western Europe. Hamster rain, there's lots of recorded instances in France, in Romania, which might not be Western Europe, but in Germany and Belgium. Yeah. It might be less prevalent than it is in the US, but it's definitely there as well. Yeah. Around the world. There you go, Mayor Space. Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow. And Racodactylus makes an excellent point, as usual. Can we get a shout out for Rako, by the way? Rako says, where people feel threatened by the idea that they're not special, especially special enough to have power over other people, they tend to be anti-science in general and anti-evolution in particular. Well said, Rako. Yeah. Can't give yourself a shout out. Well, not even a mod can give themselves a shout out. I kind of like that feature, actually. Yeah. But yeah. Hamster rain. I've spoken to friends from Belgium, and they're like, yeah, it shows up. I think there were some cases of creationist groups trying to actually have like the national biology curriculum altered to include creationism just a few years ago. You gotta be on the lookout for this sort of thing, you know? Yeah. There you go, Diatoms. Yeah, there's so many examples like that. But anyway, yeah. Here's the thing. People in other countries, especially in Western Europe, like to think, well, you know, we're so much more enlightened than those uncouth, uncultured Americans. That sort of thing could never happen here in our country. But I assure you, it can. You need to keep a watch out for this kind of thing. You don't want your education system to fall victim to this kind of anti-science, you know? So yeah. Anyhow. No, and this was like, this is like evangelical Protestants, Hamster Rain, as I recall. But yeah. Anywho. My point is not to cast aspersions on anybody, it's just like, if you have really good educational outcomes in your country, and if people are well educated in biology, you've got good curricula, hold on to that. Preserve it. You know, help it thrive. You don't want that to fall by the wayside. Here, we can pull up, you know, I have this saved somewhere. There's a high-res version, right? Come on, Windows. There we go. Taking forever. File Explorer taking forever here. go. It's a little bit difficult to see, so don't drive yourself blind to trying to find it, but I know I've got the original paper for this somewhere too. But this is kind of a famous graph. It shows public acceptance of evolution in 34 countries. This is in 2005, so this is 2 decades ago. But I think this overall trend still kind of holds. When we're talking about the acceptance of evolution, this idea that, like, I don't know. Does the general public, are they familiar that living things change over time, and do they accept that idea? At the very top, you have countries like Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, France, Japan, the UK, Norway, Belgium right there, and then Spain, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Hungary. A lot of blue is good. This means people are aware that living things change over time. They're aware of the basic idea of evolution, and they accept that that's what the evidence shows. Down at the bottom, you have the US right there, almost at the very, very, very bottom. It was something like 40% of Americans are aware of and accept the idea that living things change over time, biological evolution. We came almost very last. There's Turkey there at the bottom. There's something like 25%. So yeah. Anywho, and then right in the middle you get Estonia, Portugal, Malta, Czech Republic. Yeah. So anyhow, let me see if I can find the original publication there, if anybody's curious. I want to say I had this a while ago. 2005. There we go. Subscription required, unfortunately, but I bet you we can find that if there's a DOI. Bingo. Wait, supporting material? This is not the original paper. This is, oh goodness, it's the supplemental information. Again, I don't think this is it. Oh well, here's a link to the DOI. You can look it up if you really want to. And Reiko, yeah, if you wouldn't mind sending it, that'd be great. I'm sure I have it somewhere too. Oh goodness. There's a screenshot of it. I don't know where the paper is. Anyway, this is not terribly exciting viewing here, so let's get back to our video. We were just over halfway through. Oh, thank you, Reiko. Here. There we go. Anyway, thank you, Reiko. I don't want to get too into the weeds on that. Let's get back to our video here, talking about turkeys, talking about wishbones, talking about the dinosaurian origin of birds.
Into a single, very flexible bone. It's a pretty unusual arrangement. Only 2 groups of animals have ever had that arrangement. The galliforms, which are today's...
No, this is something that's ancestral to all birds, as far as we know. I think even Archaeopteryx has a furcula, a wishbone.
Turkeys, chickens, pheasants, and, you guessed it, certain types of dinosaurs, including velociraptors, T-Rexes. The furcula, you see, is an inherited trait, which if you've seen one of these things without its feathers, that probably doesn't seem that surprising. So you'll sit down this evening and wish each other a happy Thanksgiving, but when you cut into that thing, I'd like to say to all of you, welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Why do people eat turkey during the holidays, though? I like when occasionally YouTube actually throws up a good video suggestion. Let's take a look at that.
For many, the noble turkey is a holiday icon, the headliner of Thanksgiving dinner, accompanied by its opening acts, stuffing and gravy. But just how did America come to associate its only native bird with its biggest binge-eating day of the year?
I'm sorry. What? Only native bird? What? There's literally like 1,000 bird species that are native to the U.S. At least. What? We're not doing well so far. Really? We imported every other bird since Dinosaur's attack? Yeah. Famously, the Pilgrims wiped out every other species of bird on the continent. What?
To associate its only native bird with its biggest binge-eating day of the year? Well,
it does make me curious. How many bird species are native to the U.S.? There we go. The entire USA, all 50 states, has 1,176 bird species. Not every single one of those is going to be native, but that gives you some idea of how many different birds we have within this country. Yeah. And native versus endemic, we've got literally hundreds of endemic bird species, F. Edgar, that only exist here in the United States. Yeah. And then if you deign to include Canada and Mexico, that brings the count up even higher. But there's going to be a lot of bird species that only exist within the bounds of the U.S. Yeah. So more than one, clearly, says Alexander. Yeah. Yeah. Anywho.
well, today we're writing the cookbook on how turkeys became the Thanksgiving bird of choice. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History.
An only native domestic bird in the U.S. I doubt that's true either, Charlie's Dragon. There've got to be other domestic bird species that are, I would imagine. I know birds like pheasants have been kind of domesticated, or at least, like, tamed. But they're not native to the U.S. Which is pretty funny. The state bird of South Dakota is the ring-necked pheasant. It is not native to South Dakota. It's from China originally. Yeah. Coincidentally, I think this is the only one of the state birds which is legal to hunt, or is even, like, encouraged, because they're considered invasive, I think. Anyhow, yeah. This one's figured things out pretty well, though. Salute to this pheasant right here. Appreciate that, you know? Smart bird, says Claire. Yeah. In fact, you could kind of put this side by side with this. Fight the power. Good stuff. Become ungovernable, yes. Racodactylus, yes. Oh, I love it. Be bird, do crimes, yes. Anywho, and Dr. Epps, yeah, history guy is great, but yeah, usually his stuff is a little bit long, and it can be a bit droll. That's true. Yeah. Diane Thomas says, I know one bird that's gonna have to go see the principal. I'm gonna stand right on that principal's head. Stand there right on his bald dome. Yeah. Anyhow. Maybe they meant turkeys are only native to North America, which I think is slightly more accurate. Yeah, they must have gotten that mixed up, where it went from they're only native to North America to the only bird native to North America. That's probably, I think you're right there. Yeah. Anyhow.
Turkeys have been around for millions of years.
Well, to be fair, most animals have. I feel like as a paleontologist, you hear this and like, of course they've been around for millions of years. They didn't just spring directly from the forehead of Zeus or something. Like, yes, they have an ancestry that goes back into the fossil record. Everybody does, you know? Yeah. Mayor's Face of Turkeys were invented in 1973 by Richard Nixon. Yeah. Nixon may have been the first one who pardoned a turkey, though. What was he? Or was that FDR? I forget. They'll probably talk about it in this video. After we lost the Great Turkey War, that tradition started.
All 6 subspecies of turkey are native to North America, and they are separated from their more chickeny counterparts by at least 45 million years of evolution.
And is that true? I don't think it is, because there are several birds that are called chickens, like prairie chicken, which I think only diverged from the turkey lineage like 20 million years ago or something like that. Here, let's have ourselves a look-see here. We've got turkeys, the common ancestor of both modern species of turkey. It's about 4 million years ago. And then you get things like grouse. Yeah, here we go. There's prairie chicken. So they only diverged from turkeys about 13 million years ago. So yeah. Charlie's Dragon says, I think he meant Gallus Gallus when saying chicken. Maybe. He said more chickeny
years.
Relatives.
All 6 subspecies of turkey are native to North America, and they are separated from their more chickeny counterparts by at least...
And then they show an oviraptorosaur for some reason. But yeah, so chickens are galliform birds, just like turkeys are. And I think they're going to be... Yeah, where's the jungle fowl? That's the ancestor of modern chickens. He's right here, red jungle fowl. So let's do this. Red jungle fowl and Meleagris. Turkey. Yeah, it says here about 18 million years ago they diverged, which, again, what did he say? 45 million years ago sounds way too distant. So, yeah, I think it's a more recent divergence time than that. So
turkey
sounds
are
wrong
native
too.
to North America, and they are separated from their more chickeny counterparts by at least 45 million years of evolution.
Unless, devil's advocate here, if you're separated by at least 45 million years of evolution, maybe you can take the divergence time and multiply it by 2. Because, like, well, yeah, sure, they shared a common ancestor 18 million years ago. But that means that there's a combined 36 million years of evolution. Because you have 18 million years over here, 18 million years over there. So they've been evolving separately for, I don't know. Maybe I'm I'm trying too hard to give them credit. Diatubs, you work on this sort of thing. Not galliform birds, but we're talking about divergence times and stuff. Could you say that two lineages are separated by 45 million years of evolution if they diverged 22.5 million years ago or whatever? Not sure that's how time works. Well, you know what I mean. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. It's the same 18 million years. It is. Yeah. The thing is, they're both extant, though, so it's like they've each been evolving separately for 18 million years. If one of them went extinct, and then you have 18 million years of evolution separating them, then I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here, trying to be generous, you know?
They sleep in trees. They can fly short distances, and they can run at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour. Faster if they're on rocket skates. Though there is evidence that ancient Native Americans
also used rocket skates.
Farmed turkeys in what is now the southwestern United States. It's believed that turkeys weren't widely domesticated until about 2,000 years ago, when the Mayans first started breeding them for both food and for ritualistic purposes. Since these Mexican turkeys were the largest population of domesticated gobblers around, they were the first group of turkeys that the Spanish conquistadors came in contact with.
Oh, which is really funny because there is a film that came out. I don't know. I don't remember when it came out. I wasn't paying attention. But there is a movie where I think Gerard Depardieu plays Columbus. Was it Cortez? I think it was Columbus. Yeah, 1492, Conquest of Paradise. I remember seeing, I think, the trailer for this, and in, like, one of the first shots, this is, like, they're trying to show, like, this is before Europeans knew about the New World. And here's, like, Columbus walking through this European village, everybody's depressed, and, like... But there are turkeys running around in this, like... 15th century European village. And it's like, what? That's a New World bird. How did you manage to get it that wrong? It's just... I wonder if I could find this. Is it in the trailer? I feel like it is. Ridley Scott, so it's probably going to be filled with all kinds of stupid mistakes like that. Anyway, yeah. Anywho, a lot of Disney movies set in Europe have raccoons because it's a common woodland animal. Is that true, Charlie's Dragon? Unless you're talking about, like, Robin Hood or something. Are there raccoons in that? And Dr. Hub says, the movie Dracula has armadillos running around Transylvania circa 1890. I guess the movie makers thought rats weren't big and weird enough. Really? That's nuts. Yeah. And Clearbird, Bambi is set in North America. Pretty sure. Anyhow, let's continue with our video here. We managed to get 1 minute and 28 seconds in.
Because a bird of that size gets everyone excited, the Spanish then started shipping turkeys back home as early as 1519.
1519. So after Columbus. Yeah.
turkey farm
And Petrodactylus, hey, happy Theropodsgiving to you too. It's good to have you.
soon proliferated across Europe, and by the 1600s, they had become a commonplace food source for many Western Europeans. Many 17th century Brits even began incorporating turkey into their own feast days, as turkeys are huge, capable of growing well over 20 pounds in the wild, and can feed a ton of people all at once. It therefore follows that, as America's earliest settlers came to stake their claim in the New World, many brought these giant turkeys with them, like coolers on a road trip. And because of this back and forth importation, most domesticated turkeys today, even those bred in North American regions where other subspecies of wild turkey are dominant, are usually the descendants of those early Mexican turkeys.
Really? We're not talking about the ocellated turkey, we're talking about the wild turkey, right? Or are we not? Shoot. Because again, our two modern species of turkey are the wild turkey, Meleagris gallopavo, and then the ocellated turkey, whose species name I don't remember. Meleagris. We'll find out. There we go, Meleagris ocellata. Okay, makes sense. And those are from the Yucatan, says Dr. Terminator. That would make sense. Yeah, residing primarily in the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, as well as in parts of Belize and Guatemala. Okay. Okay, so they have wild turkeys in other parts of Mexico, too. I associate the ocellated turkey with Mexico, but I guess Meleagris gallopavo is also common. Makes sense. Makes sense.
When, in September of 1620, the Pilgrims first landed at Plymouth Rock, they didn't have any of those Mexican turkeys with them. In fact, it's not historically certain that they had any livestock with them at all.
Yeah, there's actually... Oh, man, I was just reading it this morning. There's a brilliant article that I read, like, every Thanksgiving. Kind of dispelling a lot of myths about the first Thanksgiving and stuff like that. I'll share it with you here. But they talk about how they didn't really bring any livestock with them because they didn't really know what they were doing. Honestly, the Pilgrims at Plymouth, they were kind of a bunch of, like, religious nutters and outcasts and just kind of yahoos who showed up and, I will repeat, did not know what they were doing. Here we go. Superb article here from the Smithsonian Magazine, 2005. It's not just really informative, but really, really well written and just kind of densely atmospheric in the way that it kind of helps me get into the Thanksgiving mindset. It's just very, like, it's very, very fall coded, very November build. Insane. Stupid slang. But, yeah. So, here, nope, hang on. Here we go. The Pilgrims' lack of preparation was typical. Expeditions from France and Spain were usually backed by the state, and generally staffed by soldiers accustomed to hard living. English voyages, by contrast, were almost always funded by venture capitalists, who hoped for a quick cash-out. Decades after first touching the Americas, London's venture capitalists still had not figured out that New England is colder than Britain, despite being further south. Even when they focused on a warmer place like Virginia, they persistently selected colonists people ignorant of farming. The hope of fleeing religious persecution, uppermost in their minds, the Pilgrims, alas, were an example. Multiplying the difficulties The would-be colonizers were arriving in the middle of a severe multi-year drought. Jamestown and the other Virginia forays survived on Indian charity. They were utterly dependent and therefore controllable. Karen Oldall Kupperman, New York University historian, has written. The same held true for the adventurers in Plymouth. Yeah. So there was this guy, John Smith, who had had some success in, I don't know, surviving there on the east coast of North America. This guy knew what he was doing, to a certain extent. But the Pilgrims had refused to hire the experienced John Smith as a guide, on the theory that they could simply use the maps in his book. In consequence, as Smith later crowed, the hapless Mayflower spent several frigid weeks scouting Cape Cod for a good place to land, during which time many colonists became sick and died. Landfall at Patuxent did not end their problems. The colonists had intended to produce their own food, but had neglected to bring any cows, sheep, mules, or horses. They may have had pigs. To be sure, the Pilgrims had intended to make the most of their livelihood not by farming, but by catching fish for export to Britain. But the only fishing gear the Pilgrims brought was useless in New England. Only half of the 102 people on the Mayflower made it through the first winter. Just a bunch of yahoos. Just amateur hour. It's a real dilettante's ball there. Anyway, superbly written article. It mostly focuses on the native people. Their society, the predicament that they were in when the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth, and how there was like a real strategic partnership that was formed there. It's just fascinating stuff. And it really kind of gives the lie to the Thanksgiving story that we Americans are taught in elementary school. Yeah. Highly recommend that article. Check it out. Yeah. But yeah. What are the odds his name would be John Smith? This is that. I was like, yeah. A rare name, I know. Yeah. America was founded by yahoos, Danny. I mean, well, they considered themselves Englishmen at the time. That's a whole thing. But yeah, I don't know. There are much cleverer, better prepared people who already lived here in North America at the time. And then you just get these bumpkins who show up from across the ocean, and half of them die in the first year. And yeah, you know how it goes. But yeah, and Ref16 says, you ever think about the fact that the water you drink today is the same water dinosaurs drank in the past? I mean, it's the same hydrogen and oxygen atoms, I suppose. Yeah. But yeah. And Starmy, we're talking about the colony at Patuxent. The Plymouth colony, they were all Englishmen, as far as I know, right? They're usually referred to as English, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
December of 1620, the Pilgrims first landed at Plymouth Rock. They didn't have any of those Mexican turkeys with them.
Nope.
In fact, it's not historically certain that they had any livestock with them at all.
They may have had pigs, as we just read there, but no cows, no horses, no mules, no elephants, no camels, no sloth bears.
Instead, they had a supply of beer, biscuits, peas, and dried meats, among other basic provisions. And to be fair, many of us have gone on trips where beer and beef jerky were our only provisions. It wasn't enough, though, and as the story goes, the first winter in the New World was...
And they were so young, too. I mean, look at them. How did they expect to survive? Science Streams, it's good to see you here. Welcome, welcome. Happy THEROPODSGIVIng to you, Science Streams.
Devastating for the Pilgrims. Of the initial 102 that came over from Europe, only 53 survived their first year in America.
Yep.
So making it through that first year was a real achievement. And the first Thanksgiving, which took place sometime after the 1621 harvest, was probably a pretty rowdy party. The settlers were joined for their 3-day feast by about 90 people of the Wampanoag tribe, who brought with them 5 whole deer as a gift for the colony's governor. Even with all of this food and all of these guests, though, the first Thanksgiving was seemingly unnoteworthy to the Pilgrims. Harvest feasts were common back in Europe, and days of Thanksgiving were regularly held back in England. Consequently, there is only one known first-hand account of this historic meal, and it comes in the form of a letter written by Edward Winslow. Winslow wrote, "Our governor sent 4 men on fowling. They 4 in one day killed as much fowl as served the company almost a week."
R.I.P. to those brave dinosaurs. Hi, sweetie pie. How are you doing? Hang on. We might have to take a moment to pay homage to our landlord here. And look at you in your festive livery today. Sweetie pie, my goodness. Look at you, all dressed up. Ho, 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 ho. Oh, look at you, sweetie pie. Look at this. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Look, I'm dressed up. You're dressed up. Happy THEROPODSGIVIng, sweetie pie. Aww. Treats? Is that what you're here for? Yeah. Edward Winslow. Oh, interesting, Kennedy. Huh. What are you doing? No AI cat. We don't use AI around here with Ginkgo. This is my landlord, Sweetie Pie, who has come here to collect rent. Oh, sweetie. Yeah. All right, here we go. Ready? Look at all those. What a Thanksgiving feast. Look at that. Good stuff. Oh, so beautiful. Pretty, an A cat. Oh, there you go, Ginkgo. Okay, gotcha. Stuff. Oh, there we go. There you go, Kermits, yeah. Is that a little Santa Claus pendant you have there? Look at that. I didn't realize that, sweetie pie. Look at that. Good stuff. And hey, Shark Geek, hey, you have a wonderful holiday as well. Thank you for being here. Can we get another shout out for Shark Geek, by the way? Who does shark outreach and conservation here on Twitch. If you're not yet following Shark Geek, you are missing out, especially if you're passionate about ocean conservation, like I am. Go follow Shark Geek right now. Anywho, back to this guy, whose claim to fame is Edward Winslow. Kennedy's buddy Andy Winslow, who was a scientist who dated a Canadian creator, is a descendant of either Edward Winslow or his brother. So there you go. So this guy managed to eventually give rise to a scientist. That's a pretty cool achievement.
Unfortunately, fowl can refer to all sorts of different birds, and historians today are likewise uncertain as to exactly what type of bird was eaten at the first Thanksgiving. What we do know is that whatever kind of bird it was, these dudes shot a week's worth of them in one very loud day. Some doubt it was turkey, though, and instead argue that duck or goose were more likely to have been served. But others point to the writings of William Bradford, the elected leader of the Plymouth colony, who told of the large store of turkeys the colonists managed to stockpile that fall. Still, regardless of whether or not they dipped into that stockpile, whatever fowl the Pilgrims served was most likely just a side dish rather than the meal's centerpiece. After all, the Wampanoag did bring 5 whole deer. In the decades that followed, settlers and early Americans continued to hold such harvest feasts, but few associated them with the Plymouth Rock Pilgrims.
So that's the thing, is that like our association with the Pilgrims and Thanksgiving is kind of a modern thing. Like, Thanksgiving, much like Valentine's Day or Arbor Day, is a Hallmark holiday. It's kind of a modern invention, you know?
Instead, they were simply continuing their own European traditions, just as the OG Pilgrims had, a practice that continued on without disruption until the American Revolution.
Unlike Flag Day, says Science Streams. I mean, yeah, look. Flags, of course, occur naturally in nature.
As the U.S. broke away from British rule and attempted to form a unique national identity, many turned to America's native birds for culinary inspiration. The turkey became a national symbol for many Americans, and it became increasingly commonplace on post-revolutionary dinner tables. Despite the popular myth, Benjamin Franklin never actually pushed for the turkey to become the national bird.
That's true. I think he actually, it was a satirical piece that he wrote, right? He didn't actually mean it in earnest.
But he did go on the record saying that turkeys are much more respectable than bald eagles. But how do they taste with gravy? No, we're seriously asking. Likewise, Alexander Hamilton supposedly once asserted that no citizen of the U.S. shall refrain from turkey on Thanksgiving Day. The founding...
Another reason to dislike Alexander Hamilton. I know a lot of people are very fond of him because of that musical, but not kidding here, Alexander Hamilton was actually a huge villain and not a good person. And he certainly wouldn't have liked me as somebody who doesn't eat turkey. Yeah. Anywho, not a good guy, Alexander Hamilton. Really not. Kind of a monster.
The founding fathers were big into turkey hash. Despite these declarations, things didn't truly get moving until Sarah Josepha Hale, most famous today for having written the absolute banger, Mary Had a Little Lamb, published her first ever novel, Northwood. Northwood is an 1827 anti-slavery work that spends an entire chapter detailing an idyllic New England Thanksgiving, complete with a roasted turkey placed at the head of the table. At the time, Thanksgiving was mostly celebrated regionally, with the New England states taking it the most seriously, kind of like Dunkin' Donuts. Likewise, many individual states had their own official Thanksgiving days, with Thanksgiving being held anywhere from October to January, depending on where you lived. Although George Washington himself declared November's final Thursday to be a day of public thanksgiving and prayer in 1789, it was supposed to be a one-time event rather than an annual holiday. But since America had been heading towards a civil war for, well, just about as long as America had been a country, Hale saw an opportunity to unify the fracturing nation. She thought that nationalizing the Thanksgiving holiday around one shared special day would help create a national identity, and thus keep the country together. So, Hale actively campaigned for the establishment of Thanksgiving as a national holiday. It was through her work that people began looking back to the first Thanksgiving, and myths about the Pilgrims began to form.
Interesting. So this is kind of like you were saying. It's like how diamonds were considered worthless rocks until the jewelry industry manufactured a desire for them. Kind of. We're like, here is this thing that was just kind of in the background, and then somebody takes it, puts it in the foreground, and really sells it. That's how it worked with Thanksgiving as like a national holiday, you know?
Which included everything from the buckled hats and buckled shoes that the Pilgrims didn't actually wear, to a whole list of Thanksgiving foods that Pilgrims didn't actually eat. Among these made-up foods were pumpkin pie, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, and a big stuffed turkey.
And of course, yes, the most important of all Thanksgiving dishes. Come on now. Frame by frame. Cranberry sauce. And just in case anybody has not yet made cranberry sauce yet for their Thanksgiving meal, on the off chance there's one person watching who's like, "Oh shoot, cranberry sauce! I wish I had a recipe for this." I have a special recipe that I make almost every year. I didn't make it this year because we're having kind of a non-traditional Thanksgiving. It's a long story, but anyway, I have a special Thanksgiving cranberry sauce recipe. It doesn't have to be for Thanksgiving. You could also eat it for Arbor Day, May Day, Cinco de Mayo, whatever. But cranberry orange sauce recipe. This is the best cranberry sauce I've ever had. It's one of my favorite parts of a Thanksgiving meal, and it's really decent. I think you'll like it. Anyway, second worst is science streams. Yeah, but yeah. So I had fun writing this. Cranberry sauce typically ranks as survey takers' most hated Thanksgiving dish, even lower than the turkey, which often ranks as second worst. If you would like to elevate your cranberry sauce recipe above the level of a theropod carcass, here's how to do it. Rather than settling for the canned stuff, that metallic and sickly sweet gelatinous cylinder which slides reluctantly out of the can like a cautious gastropod, try making your cranberry sauce fresh with ingredients that enhance the natural tartness of the cranberries and add a sharpness that Thanksgiving fare usually lacks. Anyway, you will impress people if you follow this recipe and make homemade cranberry sauce. People will really like it. So, yeah, there you go. Thank you, Science. I appreciate that. Anyway, cranberry sauce. The
big stuffed.
And how do we get it again? Diet Toms? There's a link there. Here. Is it crayon? No? What was it? Help me out, Mons. You know this better than I do. Oh, there. No, Charlie's Dragon already did it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Special day would help create a national identity and thus keep the country together. So, Hale actively campaigned for the establishment of Thanksgiving as a national holiday. It was through her work that people began looking back to the first Thanksgiving, and myths about the Pilgrims began to form, which included everything from the buckled hats and buckled shoes that the Pilgrims didn't actually wear, to a whole list of Thanksgiving foods that Pilgrims didn't actually eat. Among these made-up foods were pumpkin pie, mashed potatoes.
And, I mean, to be fair, he says among these made-up foods, it's not like these foods didn't exist. It's not like, what's-her-name just came up with these foods out of the blue. Claire Burr says, well, actually, recipes are all made up. Thank you, Claire. Yeah, true. But my point is that these were probably foods that people already knew about. These are probably already, in widespread use. Science says, potatoes conspiracy confirmed. Just like Sputnik going up to space. Exactly, right? Science streams? It's what they don't want you to know. But anyway, presumably these were foods that people already knew about. They were already in widespread use. Oh, but here's the thing. In thinking about well, we'll continue. We'll get back to this point that I'm making in a few minutes, if I remember. But I think what's considered traditional Thanksgiving fare, even that has changed over the past 70 years, something like that. I'll show you an example in a little bit. Oh, yeah.
Cranberry sauce and a big...
mashed potatoes have existed for millions of years. They weren't invented like turkey. Is that true, Diatom's attack? Potatoes are originally from Peru. And yeah, actually, I bet the ancient Inca were eating potatoes mashed occasionally. But that wouldn't have been for millions of years. I know you're being facetious. Buckled marshmallows. There you go, Mirror Space, yeah.
Big,
Yeah.
stuffed turkey. Creating a national mythology around Thanksgiving still wasn't enough for Hale, who began a letter-writing blitz to America's presidents to convince them to embrace Thanksgiving as a vehicle for national unity.
I like America's presidents. She's writing to, like, more than one of them at once. The many presidents of America's warring factions and states.
Reportedly, she wrote to Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, and
Oh, and Zachary Taylor, of course, the hero of Tippecanoe. No, hang on. I'm thinking of William Henry Harrison. Did she write to Harrison? He died in 30 days.
James Buchanan, until she
No, okay. I guess he wasn't around for long enough for her to write to him.
finally got to a president who mattered, Abraham Lincoln. Whether he was inspired or just tired from hearing from Hale. In 1863, Lincoln held the first ever national Thanksgiving. While it was a little too late for national unity, Hale was still dubbed the Mother of Thanksgiving. And after 30 years of work, she was finally able to celebrate the holiday.
Good for her. That's actually kind of a cool job. I'd probably want a different uniform, but, like, that looks like a good time. I could be a turkey cowboy. Yeah. An honest ape. Yeah. One of America's few good presidents. Very short list.
By the time Thanksgiving became a national holiday, turkey farms were popping up just about everywhere. While many today idealize the Wild West with images of cowboys and their cattle drives, many forgot the far less romanticized turkey drovers and their turkey walks. John Wayne should have made more movies about these guys. Since refrigeration in the 1880s was still hard to come by, and transportation was likewise driven by steam or by...
I love these images. This is like something out of Dinotopia here. James Gurney couldn't have painted it better himself, you know?
By horse, the easiest way to get thousands of turkeys from farms to cities was to walk them. Reports from the mid-19th century detailed drovers walking as many as 500 turkeys at a time from remote homesteads to train stations or towns, often having to travel hundreds of miles just to get to where the turkeys were going. As you might expect, this could be a long, slow process. To motivate these turkeys, the drovers would need to either entice them forward with a steady supply of corn or guide them from behind by pushing them with a long pole. On a good day, these turkeys could travel about a mile per hour. On a bad
Did I get a paloma? It sounds like something I'd contact a physician about. I don't think so, Claire. I don't know. What? Do you know something I don't? Confused. Yeah. Pardon. Interesting, Kennedy. Huh. Yeah, anyway.
day, the birds could become overly clustered and trample each other to death. What's more, turkeys' propensity for sleeping up in trees often caused all sorts of issues for the towns they passed through. Namely, they would often all gather to sleep on rooftops, causing the roofs to collapse in on themselves.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the kind of turkey stuffing we were picturing. Despite this chaos, these turkey walks continued on well into the 1900s, only coming to a close with the advent of the gasoline truck and, presumably, driver's licenses for turkeys. During the same time, turkey hunting exploded in popularity, to the point that the birds were nearly hunted to extinction. By the 1900s, there were as few as 30,000 wild turkeys left, a number that has since, with the help of restoration programs and hunting quotas, grown back to a whopping 7 million. That's something to be thankful for.
I love this. Yeah, but that is the thing, is that turkeys almost went extinct in the United States. I think across much of North America. They were nearly hunted to extinction. And yeah, we might watch another video on that, but yeah.
Up until the 1950s, wild and domesticated turkeys were about the same size. But in order to meet America's ever-increasing demand for turkey subs, farmers began selectively breeding their birds. According to the USDA, the average farmed turkey in 1929 weighed about 13.2 pounds.
Okay. It's still pretty heavy for a bird. 13.2 pounds, 1929. What is it today? Uh-oh.
By 1967, that number had increased to 18.6 pounds. Fast forward to today. Farmed turkeys now average around 30 pounds.
That is nuts. That's like more than a Cocker Spaniel. Like, there are medium-sized dogs who weigh way less than that. This is a bird, mind you. Not nearly as dense as a mammal. They've got hollow bones, avian respiratory system, all of that. That is crazy heavy for a bird. That is nuts. And add steroids. I mean, literally, that's what they're doing, diatoms, yeah.
Making them over 2 times as heavy as they were less than a century ago. Are these birds juicing? This increase in turkey size has resulted in fewer turkeys needing to be raised, meaning they use up less land and fewer resources. Okay. However, most of the birds are now too big to breed without human intervention, and they often have all sorts of other health issues.
Yeah, that's one of the many reasons why I don't eat.
Today, Butterball turns out the most turkey meat for consumption, followed by Jenny O and Cargill Protein. Each company individually produces around
That Cargill Protein, that sounds so euphemistic. Like, that's a slaughterhouse and meat purveying company. Cargill Protein. It's like, this is where you can get your proteinaceous slurry. It's just... something about that just sounds like euphemistic to the point where it's dystopian. Yeah. Bachelor chow, now with flavor. Rico visibly upset, yeah. Yeah. Soylent Green, there you go, awkward cyborg, yeah. Soylent Green is made from turkeys. When they start growing turkey meat in vats, they won't have to change their name. You know what? That's a really good point, Diatom's Attack. See, that's thinking like a marketer, you know? I need to do some more of that.
billion pounds of turkey in any given year, or roughly 1 week of leftovers at your grandmother's house. Of those billion pounds, a large portion comes from the 46 million individual turkeys consumed each year on Thanksgiving Day.
46 million of these birds eaten on one day. I don't even want to think about that. Oh, I'm a little sad now.
Traditionally, starting with Ulysses S. Grant, U.S. presidents would be gifted one of these many turkeys each and every Thanksgiving. By the mid-1900s, this gifting had turned into an all-out ceremony, wherein the president would accept the turkey, and the turkey would, in turn, be taken to the White House kitchens to be eaten that very day. It was a...
That's kind of barbaric. This is some, like... I don't know. Eating the prisoners captured by your invading army kind of stuff. Like, this is gross.
Dubious honor. We suspect many of the birds would have preferred a cash prize. While there is some debate over exactly which president was the first to pardon a turkey, the trend didn't truly start until 1982, when Ronald Reagan sent his presidential turkey to live out the rest of its life on a farm. Reagan continued this practice throughout the rest of his presidency, but he kept it to a casual send-off, a low-key hang with just a few friends. It wasn't until 1989, under the presidency of George H.W. Bush, that the first ever official presidential pardon was handed down to a turkey. In the years since, every president has pardoned at least one turkey for the holiday, and it's become tradition for the turkey to be publicly named. Some recent pardoned birds include chocolate, peanut butter, jelly, corn, butter.
Corn? What kind of a name is that for a turkey? Or a band, for that matter. I don't know. Feeling spicy.
Peas and drumstick. Nothing says you got lucky like naming a turkey drumstick. So what do you think?
Anyway, what do I think? I think it's time to... I remembered. Play that video real quick. You were talking about how... I was talking about how Thanksgiving foods, I guess, have changed a little bit over the last few decades. people think of the Thanksgiving meal of today, you know, excuse me, turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, green bean casserole, pumpkin pie, rolls. Am I forgetting anything, chat? What else am I forgetting? And don't get too facetious and start saying, oh, stuffing? Did I say stuffing? Green bean casserole? Yams. There we go. Sweet potatoes. Yeah. Prankster fan. Cornbread. Yeah. Don't start saying things like whale milk and camel tongue and stuff like that, please. Yeah. Fruit salad. Interesting, Peter Steves. Okay. Pepper and salt. Yes, of course. The main course there, Statler and Waldorf. Deviled eggs. Really? Whale tongue. Loof loach. No. Maybe in New England that's still a thing. But, yeah, Jell-O and fruit salad. Here, I played this video at the start of today's stream, but a lot of you weren't here, so I'm gonna play it again real quick. Yeah, here we go. It's gonna look like an ad or something. I promise it's not. It's a fun little video that'll get us back to the paleontology part of our broadcast. So anyway, here we go. Starting now.
Tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
Turkey and dressing and pie and cake, turkey.
And fruit salad and whipped cream and cranberries. Gee, I can hardly wait. Me too.
Turkey.
Well, you know, children, we've had a lot of expenses this month, and, well, your father and I thought that...
Turkey.
Well, the truth of the matter is, there just won't be any turkey this year.
No turkey for Thanksgiving?
Oh, I'm going to make a pumpkin pie. We'll have plenty to eat, but, well, we'll just have to get along without turkey.
It won't be Thanksgiving at all.
Even the Pilgrims had a feast. After all, isn't that what Thanksgiving's for? I don't think it's fair.
And it was right there that I came in, right in the thick of it. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Paul.
Hello, Mother, Dick, Susan. Well, what's been going on around here? What's the matter with everybody, anyway?
Mom says we're not going to have any Thanksgiving. No turkey, no good thing.
A fat lot we're going to have to be thankful for.
Oh, I don't think you kids really mean that.
We do, too. We've always had turkey for Thanksgiving.
Yes, and everybody else in the block's going to have it this year, as always.
Yes, we've always had turkey, just as a lot of Americans have had it, and we'll keep on having it. Turkey on Thanksgiving's a great American tradition. But what you kids are saying makes it sound as if the turkey's the only thing we had to be thankful for.
Well, gee whiz, no, Dad. It's not that at all.
Oh, I know, Dick. See, it's easy to lose sight of what Thanksgiving really means.
Birds are dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs.
Thanksgiving will never be the same.
You may think that this is a turkey. This is a dinosaur. Deinonychus has a pie just like that. A dinosaur and no other animal, extinct or living besides birds and dinosaurs, have this wraparound ankle bone. So from shoulder to hip to knee to ankle, a turkey is a dinosaur.
Birds are dinosaurs. Birds are living dinosaurs. We actually classify them as dinosaurs. We now call them non-avian dinosaurs and avian dinosaurs. So the non-avian dinosaurs are the big clunky ones that went extinct, Avian dinosaurs are our modern birds. You can't argue with it because we're the classifiers and we classified it that way.
If a little kid today studies all this in school, and they look up in the sky and see a bird, and turn to mom and say, that's a dinosaur.
They're right.
They're right.
They're right.
Birds are dinosaurs.
There you go. Happy THEROPODSGIVIng, everybody. Let's get back into our paleontology. We talked a little bit about the history of Thanksgiving, which I say this lovingly as an American, is kind of a ridiculous holiday. It makes so little sense. But it's a fun opportunity to talk about birds and their dinosaurian origins. Like I said, this is the one day of the year when the topic of conversation for millions of American families is dinosaur anatomy. We sit down and we talk about a dinosaur carcass on the table. Everybody has an opinion to share about it. If you're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving and you're waiting on going to dinner, or you're going to spend time with friends or family, or maybe next month, maybe you're outside of the U.S., but you're going to have a Christmas turkey or a Memorial Day goose or a Boxing Day budgie or whatever. That's still a dinosaur. It's a bird. And I've got the infographic for you. Somebody type in the turkey command again real quick. And diatoms attack you. You've got a point there. Yeah. Kennedy says, this is actually the first year I remember where I'm not going anywhere for Thanksgiving. I'm going upstairs. I mean that literally. I'm dying. I'm going to go upstairs. Because that's where we're going to have Thanksgiving dinner. That's why I got to end the stream early today at 2 p.m. Is, got to help Lordy set things up for this. Everybody gets here at like 4. But anyway, your turkey is a dinosaur. Here's an infographic I put together a few years back. Feel free to download this, print it out, share it with your friends and family. I take pains here to point out these different characteristics of the turkey skeleton, which are all evolutionary hand-me-downs from their dinosaur ancestors. So here's a velociraptor skeleton here for comparison. Bet you can't tell the difference, right? No, they are different, but it's remarkable how similar they are. Separated by about 80 million years of evolution. Well, no, more than that. At least 150 million years of evolution. But anyway, they're close relatives in the grand scheme of things. Turkeys, all birds, and dinosaurs like Velociraptor. Velociraptor's on the left, yeah? Actually, no, Claire. Velociraptor's on the right. Going to the teeth. Cool traits. No, I mean, they are really cool traits. When we're talking about things like that semi-lunate carpal bone that allows birds to rotate their wrists in such a way for the flight stroke, that's something that they didn't start out like. They got that as a hand-me-down from their dinosaur ancestors. That and their hollow bones, their ankle joint, the structure of their hips, their S-shaped neck, their feathers, even their wishbone. Dinosaurs like Velociraptor had every single one of those traits. Birds just lucked into receiving them. Like I said the other day, birds are Nepo babies. They are recipients of nepotism. Each one of those traits that makes them so successful, they didn't work for those. They didn't evolve them on their own. Those are dinosaurian traits that these birds inherited from their dinosaur ancestors. Pretty cool, right? Yeah. So yeah. So speaking of that wishbone, take a look at this.
Thanksgiving is Turkey Day, and boy do we love eating them. 46 million every year, in fact.
Turkeys, which used to be a holiday feast, have been bred in smaller sizes to please you and your family.
Plus, each one comes with a bonus. The wishbone. But really, what is that thing? The wishbone is actually a remnant from the turkey's 100 million year ancestry, way back when they were dinosaurs.
Yeah. Clips from 1925's The Lost World here.
Based on the analyses of fossils within the geologic timescale, we can estimate that the lineage containing birds, called theropods, separated from other dinosaurs around the late Triassic, early Jurassic.
No, it was the Triassic. Theropods like Coelophysis were already distinct from other dinosaurs by the Triassic. So, here, what we're talking about here is, you've got theropods like Coelophysis. These guys, they were already doing their theropod thing as far back as the late Triassic. So I think, correct me on this if I'm wrong, chatters, but I'm pretty sure Coelophysis is from the Norian stage of the Triassic. I don't think it's the Ratian. I think it's the Norian. We've got other dinosaurs from the Carnian, and we even have a few scraps that could go back to the Ladinian or Anisian, but we definitely have distinct theropods by the Norian. So theropods, including ones with wishbones, were already around in the Triassic period. Yeah. So yeah, Coelophysis. From the, Middle Norian to the Ratian. There we go. So I appreciate the scriptwriter here trying to get this right, but still a little bit off. We know for sure that theropods were already doing their thing by the Upper Triassic.
Separated from other dinosaurs around the late Triassic, early Jurassic.
Late Triassic.
The key features unifying this group included air-filled bones and fused clavicles. Now these are what we call the wishbone.
Bingo.
These fused clavicles were instrumental in the musculature of theropod dinosaurs, providing the framework to develop powerful pectoral muscles, very useful for grabbing prey. However, as theropods diversified over millions of years, these fused clavicles became effective instruments in avian flight, acting as a sort of pectoral girdle. Today, wild turkeys retain their
acting as a sort of it's part of the pectoral girdle. It's not a euphemism. It literally is the pectoral girdle. That's what we call it.
Their spirit. They're renowned for their fierceness, and while their flight is limited, they can glide as fast as 60 miles per hour. These birds are so fierce that Benjamin Franklin lobbied for them to be our national symbol over,
which isn't actually true. He didn't really do that.
The bald eagle. So, whenever you break the wishbone on Thanksgiving Day, remember that you're holding a biological feat that gave rise to the great dinosaurs of Earth's past.
A dish to be thankful for 365 days in the year.
And stay thankful that we're chomping on their descendants instead of the other way around.
Fair. Yeah.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for...
Anywho, I'll give you a link to that video right there. They have a Y-shaped bone instead of a distinct sternum and collarbones. So their clavicles, their collarbones are fused. We talked about this yesterday. So this is a theropod trait that all theropods have, except for a few modern birds that have lost it. But it is a bird feature. All birds have that ancestrally. A few lineages have lost it since then, but it's a bird thing. It's a theropod thing. But anyway, yeah. The furcula, the wishbone, formed from the fusion of the two clavicles. So in humans, your clavicles are your collarbones. right there. You can feel them right here. When you feel your clavicles. In theropod dinosaurs, including birds, they are fused together. So they actually join up. Here they're kind of separated by the sternum in humans. But in birds and all theropods, they fuse up together. Which is pretty cool. Yeah. Anyhow. So we can find another one of those videos. Talking about this sort of thing. YouTube search is so broken. So frustrating. There was a pretty decent video about this years ago, and I thought I had it saved, and now it doesn't seem to be anywhere. But it was with not Hank Green, but his brother John. Not actually his brother. Hang tight, we'll find it. Where did that go? What's the name of that guy? Joe Hansen. Oh, thank you, Claire. I was getting this mixed up, too. Joe Hansen, who was not Hank Green's brother, but looks like him. So frustrating. I wish you could just click a button and go back to like legacy YouTube search. I think this is it here. Finally! Apologies about the wait.
Hey smart people, Joe here. This holiday season, I bet many of you are gonna sit down with family and friends to celebrate. And I bet a lot of you are gonna be sitting down to eat some nice, delicious dinosaur. Birds are dinosaurs. But why is that? That's what we're going to talk about today.
Here's a link to this video.
Today I'm here with my friends Anna Rothschild, who makes Science Magic Show Hooray at the Washington Post. And fun fact, she's 25% mashed potatoes.
It's true, I am.
And Dr. Shay Montanari, who is not only a pumpkin beer aficionado, but is a dinosaur expert extraordinaire.
Really happy to be here, Joe. We have all heard that birds are dinosaurs, but what exactly does that really mean?
That's a great question, Anna. So the way that we can even tell that anything is related to something else is through looking at their anatomy and what kind of characteristics that they share.
These are called synapomorphies, traits shared by two or more groups of organisms and derived from a common ancestor. Like humans and chimps both have opposable thumbs.
So
So synapomorphies, there's a little bit of wishy-washiness here sometimes, but like this is kind of the gold standard that we use. This is when you're looking for shared traits. Those are synapomorphies. They're something that you inherit from your common ancestor. Not something that's involved independently. It's not a coincidence. It's like, it's the same thing. So this kind of has to do with homology, which is another topic we talk about a lot. So forelimb homology. Here we go. So when we're looking at, for instance, the forelimbs of different animals like humans, cats, whales, and bats, these are the same bones that we have. And you could say this is a synapomorphy of tetrapods. We all inherited this from our common ancestor. So we each have a humerus, a radius, an ulna, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. It's not like whales and humans independently evolved these things. No, we both got that from our common ancestor. You go back far enough in time, and there's one critter that's the ancestor of all four of these animals. It would be something like this little mammal from the Cretaceous. It would have looked something like this. A little shrew-like guy. And this also had the same arrangement. We all evolved from a critter that would have looked a lot like that. And that's where we got this from. Does that make sense? And Renee right here, thank you for the raid. Welcome to Paleontologizing. How are you doing? It's good to have you here. Holy cow. Thank you for joining us. Renee right here, how was your stream? Wintry Sage, how are you doing? Hello, hello. Hello to you too, Renee. Excellent. Seems like it might be your first time here. Let me introduce you real quick to this channel. Happy THEROPODSGIVING, by the way. Today we're talking about how birds, including your Thanksgiving turkey, are dinosaurs. And I do this because, well, I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. Here's what I'm all about. Here's a little intro to the channel.
My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and this is Paleontologizing.
Hey, Distracted Senpai, welcome.
Science isn't just test tubes and beakers and white lab coats. What we're doing out here is science, too. We're testing hypotheses by excavating these fossils.
Join me for museum tours, interviews with other paleontologists, audience Q&A, 3D printing. It's pretty big. Who thought this was a good idea? And of course, live dinosaur digs.
A limb bone from a new duck-billed dinosaur.
I invite you to tune in and experience the adventure of fossil science. There you go. That's what I'm all about. Today we're talking about birds and how birds, including turkeys, evolved from a dinosaur ancestor. I don't know if you're from the US or celebrate Thanksgiving, but that's a big deal here in this country. And it's the one day of the year when millions of American families sit down and basically dissect a dinosaur carcass on their table and talk about its anatomy. Oftentimes they don't even realize that it is a dinosaur, but yes, indeed, your turkey is a dinosaur. And I made an infographic explaining that right here, which you are welcome to download and print out, share with your friends and family. Yeah. I already printed out a few of these for my Thanksgiving table. I'll be sharing these with all the guests, so, yeah. And played a delightfully traumatizing game. That's cool to hear, Renee. I'm glad it was delightfully traumatizing. Yeah. But Redfield had a question here. Thank you for reposting that, Claire. Are there any known examples of unrelated animals having the same unique bones rather than having gotten them from a common ancestor? I think the answer is kind of by definition, no. There's lots of examples of convergent evolution, when there's similar structures that evolve, but they won't be the same thing unless they come from a common ancestor. Does that make sense? It's the difference between analogy and homology. So, yeah, anyway. We've got a bunch of cool new people who just joined us with Renee right here, so let me start that video from the beginning. We're only a few seconds into it anyway. But, let's play.
Hey, smart people. Joe here. This holiday season, I bet many of you are gonna sit down with family and friends to celebrate. And I bet a lot of you are gonna be sitting down to eat some nice, delicious dinosaur. Birds are dinosaurs.
Yep.
But why is that? That's what we're gonna talk about today. Today I'm here with my friends Anna Rothschild, who makes Science Magic Show Hooray at the Washington Post. And fun fact, she's 25% mashed potatoes.
It's true, I am.
And Dr.
Again, that measurement, is that by mass, by volume? It's a high percentage of mashed potatoes. I'm a little concerned for her, honestly.
Jay Montanari, who is not only a pumpkin beer aficionado, but is a dinosaur expert extraordinaire.
Really happy to be here, Joe. We have all heard
by DNA, by desire. Okay. Getting mixed messages here, chat.
that birds are dinosaurs, but what exactly does that really mean?
That's a great question, Anna. So the way that we can even tell that anything is related to something else is through looking at their anatomy.
And this is a little, oh, I feel bad. Are you hearing this too, chat? Her mic doesn't work. I'm cursed with this perception now that I do science outreach digitally full time. But you can hear that, right? She is coming in on another mic. Exactly, Claire, yeah. So this lav mic they have clipped to her right here, it isn't working. Yeah. Yeah. Really cool sweater she's got there, by the way.
And what kind of characteristics that they share.
These are called synapomorphies, traits.
And so, oh, and you can tell what they're doing here. So Johansson is moving in with this voiceover. I feel like they kind of cut her off, and it's because the audio is no good. Yeah. That's what happened here.
The way that we can even tell that anything is related to something else is through looking at their anatomy and what kind of characteristics that they share.
These are called synapomorphies.
It's like, I want to hear more from her, but they must have cut her off because the audio is no good.
Traits shared by two or more groups of organisms and derived from a common ancestor, like how humans and chimps both have opposable thumbs.
So there's different kinds of dinosaurs, and we can look at the characteristics of birds to figure out exactly what kind of dinosaurs they are.
Yeah.
There's actually lots of clues preserved in their bones that show that they are very closely related and that birds are actually dinosaurs.
And we're gonna find those today with this. So we couldn't get a turkey. It's not quite Thanksgiving yet, but everything we show you.
They couldn't get a turkey? Okay. I've been looking for a turkey skeleton for years and years. Actually, if anybody here in the chat has a lead on that, next year I would love to be able to assemble a turkey skeleton and mount it like, like a mounted dinosaur skeleton. Basically have this, but a turkey. I think that would be really, really neat. And we could assemble it live on stream and talk about all the different bones and where those bones are in a dinosaur skeleton. And I think that could be awesome. But haven't been able to get hold of one yet. So if anyone here has a lead on that, I've looked on eBay, I've talked to people, I've just, so far, nothing. In the 5 years that I've been streaming, I've not been able to acquire a full turkey skeleton. And I say full turkey skeleton because I know a bunch of people will say, oh, we're eating a turkey today and you're welcome to have the bones. No, I need the neck, I need the head, I need the feet. Yeah, which you don't get in a grocery store turkey, typically. I don't think many grocery stores are going to be selling you a turkey with the head and all the skull bones intact. Yeah. But anywho, yeah. I was also going to say, was this, yeah, Shannon Montanari here. She's got a really cool sweater. I also have a holiday dinosaur sweater this year, too, that I showed off a few days ago, but I'll show you again. I got this at the Natural History Museum in London. I'm not really like an ugly Christmas sweater kind of guy, but I could not pass this up. I had to buy it because I knew you would love it, Chad. I'll be wearing this at some point in December. There we go. Check that out. Yeah! And it's got the Natural History Museum facade on the back. That building there is the NHM in London. And, yeah. And Little Willow, you saw this yourself? Yeah. So I kind of had to get this because, well, partly because I took out a bunch of cash to spend in the UK. I was there for the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology conference. And, anyways, my first time going to the UK, people kept saying, hey, Danny, you need to take out some cash. You need cash for when you're there. You know, what if your card doesn't work? And I get there and nobody takes cash. So I had a bunch of cash in my pocket and I'm like, I need to get rid of this somehow. So I ended up spending way too much money at the gift shop of the Natural History Museum. But anyway. This is one of the exhibits there. Every year they put a festive jumper on the animatronic Tyrannosaurus. And then they sell the same one in the gift shop that you can pick up. Yeah. Anyway. So I kind of had to get it. We'll be wearing that for a festive stream at some point in December. It's gonna be fun. And printed turkey skeleton. Oh wait, hang on. Is this new? It's not downloadable, Claire. Or else I would certainly consider it. But this one doesn't seem to be available for download. Yeah. Anyway, and that might be more trouble than it's worth to 3D print it and then do all the cleaning and then assemble it. If I could just get, like, bones, that would be ideal. But yeah. Anywho, yeah. But I appreciate you checking, Claire. Anywho, back to our video here.
But is a dinosaur expert extraordinaire.
Really happy to be here, Joe. We have all heard that birds are dinosaurs, but what exactly does that really mean?
That's a great question, Anna. So the way that we can even tell that anything is related to something else is through looking at their anatomy and what kind of characteristics that they share.
These are called synapomorphies, traits shared by two or more groups of organisms and derived from a common ancestor, like how humans and chimps both have opposable thumbs.
So there's different kinds of dinosaurs, and we can look at the characteristics of birds to figure out exactly what kind of dinosaurs they are. There's actually lots of clues preserved in their bones that show that they are very closely related and that birds are actually dinosaurs.
And we're gonna find those today with this. So we couldn't get
3D print in gel. I don't have that kind of 3D printer though, Renfield. Yeah. Yeah. I have an FDM printer, which requires supports for overhangs and stuff like that. But yeah, really cool stuff that you could do with 3D printing nowadays, but it tends to be expensive and not the kind of thing that I have. Yeah.
Get a turkey. It's not quite Thanksgiving yet, but everything we show you, we promise that you can do at your holiday table with the people that you're celebrating with.
These are just a few of the questions surrounding these fantastic animals.
Thank you so much for the 38 months of support. Hey, I really appreciate that. One of your northern neighbors. Appreciate that, Jump Chess. You're up there in the high Arctic, it sounds like. The great white frozen north. Jump Chess, I appreciate the 38 months of support. Thank you for keeping me here online. Yeah. Good stuff.
And explain to them the science of why they're eating a dinosaur.
In the 1860s, scientists unearthed the most famous feathered dinosaur fossil, Archaeopteryx.
Looks kind of familiar, doesn't it? Where have we seen this before, this Archaeopteryx? I feel like it's... It's right under my nose. Oh well.
Early defenders of evolution like Thomas Henry Huxley began to suggest that these extinct reptiles were so similar to birds, they must be related. But the idea didn't really catch on until the 1970s, when new fossils filled in more empty branches on the dinosaur family tree. About 250 million years.
Oh, and does anybody remember what this specimen is called? Come on. People were laughing at this yesterday. Who's this, chat? Do you remember his name? This Sinornithosaurus specimen? Come on, somebody. Surely you must remember. Nope, you got it there, Starmy. Yeah, that's Dave. Here. Yeah, this specimen is nicknamed Dave. That's how you sleep on Sundays. Nice, look. Yeah, I was thinking Steve, but I knew that wasn't right. Yeah, this is Dave. In fact, it probably says on the Wikipedia article. But no, let's see. Yeah, NGMC91, nicknamed Dave, the Geological Museum of China. There he is. There's our Dave. Good stuff.
About 250 million years ago, a group called archosaurs split into crocodilian reptiles and dinosaurs. And a lot of evolution has happened since that split.
Okay, so there are two groups of dinosaurs, and it's the Ornithischians and Saurischian dinosaurs. And that split happened about 240 million years ago. And the way that we know that birds belong to the Saurischian group is mainly because of their hands. So
Wait, hands?
Right.
Birds don't have hands.
Birds actually do have hands. They just don't really look like hands anymore. So if you've eaten a
they're
chicken
heavily
wing,
modified.
or at least held onto a chicken wing, you've been shaking hands with a chicken.
Can we dig into this chicken and check it out?
I think it's time to check it out.
Let's go find that chicken hand.
So these are like the original chicken fingers.
Now, I usually dissect these with my teeth. You're doing it completely differently.
Yeah, so that little skinny part of the wing at the end that you don't typically eat because
This
there's not
little
much
nubbin?
meat on it, that little nubbin is the finger of the chicken that's gotten super reduced.
Digit 1.
I accidentally broke off the very tip of the bird finger, but here is like the second digit, the very, very tip of the finger.
That's a tiny...
Yep, and so when we pull up the, let's pull up the turkey command again. There we go. I got that here for you. Open in new tab. So when you look at Velociraptor here, you've got thumb, middle finger, ring finger. It's the same on a bird, like a turkey. Thumb. Here, I know what we'll do. Let's telestrate this. Okay, here we go. It's been a while since I've done this, so bear with me. I got a new method here. Okay. Red pen. So, thumb, middle finger, ring finger. That's it on Velociraptor, but it's the same thing on our turkey. Where there is the thumb right there, and then here is middle finger and ring finger. So we don't think of birds as having hands, but their hands are enclosed within the wing. Their fingers, 2 of them are fused together, and then the other one, the thumb, is free. And I think it might actually, some bird species, it might even flex a little bit. It has to do with the alula. But yeah, that is totally a thing for birds. They've got different fingers. And Bob Bacher, again, shows that in this episode of Paleo World. I kind of can't let this episode go by without showing this again one more time because it's a lot of fun.
Moving two-legged raptors. From them evolved creatures like Archaeopteryx, leading directly to modern birds.
And as some of you didn't see this yesterday.
If Bacher's right, Thanksgiving will never be the same.
So this is from the early 1990s, maybe mid-1990s, when this was still semi-controversial. Not all paleontologists, and certainly not all ornithologists, accepted the idea yet that birds evolved from dinosaurs. We didn't have all of the evidence yet. We didn't have things like feathered dinosaur skeletons and things like that at this point. So Bacher was kind of ahead of his time here a little bit, but check it out. This is a lot of fun.
I love to do this. I do this every Thanksgiving. You may think that this is a turkey. This is not a turkey. This is a dinosaur.
It's also
this is a raptor, and I can prove it to you. The hand of the turkey, wonderful device.
There we go. There's the hand.
The hand of the turkey has a thumb and 2 fingers stuck together, index finger and middle finger. All at
See? This is what I'm talking about here.
And 2 fingers stuck together, index finger and middle finger, all attached together to make a...
I like how this little girl here, she knows what's up. She's like pantomiming this at the same time. Watch her.
Stuck together, index finger and middle finger.
Yeah,
all
see?
Attached together to make a swivel. Zink, 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 zink. No other animal alive today except birds have that kind of hand. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Now, for your edification, here is a dinosaur hand. Thumb and 2 fingers stuck together.
And I mentioned this yesterday, but this is an idea that I've heard Bacher put forward in the 90s. I don't know if anybody has really tested this since then. Dinosaurs like Deinonychus, Utahraptor, Velociraptor, were their digits 2 and 3 actually separate from one another, or were they fused like in birds? I feel like that's really important to know, and I don't know if anybody's really asking that question. How would we test that hypothesis, you know? Sure, they both have claws on them, but does that mean that those are separate? Like, are they actually completely independent in their movements, or are they partly not fused, but at least joined together with flesh? Or what's going on with that, you know? Yeah. 2 fingers stuck together? I mean, yeah, Luke, I don't know.
Dinosaur hand, thumb and 2 fingers stuck together, and a swivel joint at the top, so the whole thing goes back and forth. Zink, da zink, da zink. That is a turkey hand. Turkey with a bad attitude, but that's a turkey hand. But wait, there's more.
I like how Bacher's wearing his cowboy hat inside, though. Just quintessentially Bacher.
Here at the lower end of the shin is the joint for the ankle. It rolls around like that. It's a great big tendon that goes to the foot, flexes the foot backwards. Whack, whack, whack. Okay?
And Visibly Upset says if the bones were fused. I'm not talking about the bones being fused. I'm talking about the 2 fingers being stuck together in life. Like, are they bundled together? Are they encompassed in flesh together, or are they separate? That's what I'm wondering, and I wonder how you'd go about testing that, you know? Yeah.
And right here, at the bottom of your dinosaur shin bone is the same sort of joint. No other animal, extinct or living besides birds and dinosaurs, have this wraparound ankle bone. And finally, look how wide the hip bones are. That's all 4 thigh muscles, all that dark meat. Look at all the dark meat over here. Look at immense. If you dissect any other kind of animal besides a bird, you don't find wide thighs. You know, birds have wide thighs. Deinonychus has a thigh just like that. Nearly all dinosaurs do. So from shoulder to hip to knee to ankle, a turkey is a dinosaur. It is a living raptor. Do you believe that?
Anyway. Yeah. Do other birds besides turkeys have that thing on their neck? Yeah, all birds have that. At the end of their neck, it's called a skull. So that's what contains the sensory organs like the eyeballs, the ears, the nares. It's actually a tetrapod trait. In fact, it's a vertebrate trait in general. All vertebrate animals have that. Yeah. No, were you talking about the soft tissue stuff on there? So that's, I think, something that might be present in male and female turkeys, but it's much pronounced in male turkeys. So... turkey soft tissue. That's not what I'm... It's not what I'm looking for. Male and female. There we go. So the male turkey has a number of different display features that are... You're talking about this? The caruncles and the snood and the wattles? There we go. So there's the beard, there's those feathers that come down off the chest. The caruncles are these kind of like bulbous soft tissue things on the neck. You have the wattle right there too, which is almost like a dewlap. And then you've got the snood, which is the like weird fleshy thing that comes down and drapes over the top of the beak. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. So again, the wattle is here and the caruncles are there. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Anywho, let's get back to this.
Tiny bird finger.
So I'm going to let you hold that as well.
Talking about the
Got
hand,
the
the
first
fingers.
digit, the second digit, and the third digit.
The length of the 3 bird fingers inside a wing narrows down which group of dinosaurs birds descended from. The second finger is longest in birds and in Saurischian dinosaurs.
That's a big way that we know that birds belong to the Saurischian group as opposed to the Ornithischian group.
So birds are Saurischian dinosaurs, but are all Saurischian dinosaurs birds?
No, they are not. That's a great question. So even within Saurischian dinosaurs, as we're walking up this dinosaur family tree, there's another group that branches off, and we can tell which one birds are a part of, and it's the theropod dinosaurs. And the one bone that is the biggest clue of theropod dinosaurs is something that you've probably played a little game with after your Thanksgiving dinner, the wishbone, right here.
Yep.
Cool.
I think it's time to dissect a wishbone.
What does the wishbone do? Does it serve a purpose for flight or for something else?
Yeah,
Well, it helps birds get their wishes.
right, of course. Besides helping all their dreams come
Shana here is like, here's what it's actually for.
true, their furcula is actually support for the flight muscles.
A wishbone, or furcula, is actually a bird's collarbones, but instead of 2 separate collarbones like we have, theirs is fused into one. Wishbones have only been found in birds and theropod dinosaurs, like Allosaurus, and they draw a clear line from those extinct creatures to our modern feathered friends.
Let's get this.
And Nikon Gamer, thank you for the follow. Nikon Gamer, appreciate you clicking that follow button. Welcome to Paleontologizing.
This wishbone out here in one piece. Oh, this is nerve-wracking. I got it.
Bravo.
So all birds will have a form of this, and all of the dinosaurs in this part of the tree also had something like this.
Right, we found a furcula in most theropod dinosaurs fossils that we found around the world. So
We'll save this for later.
And that it's not that we found it in most theropod dinosaurs. It is one of those bones that's rare to find, but we think that all theropod dinosaurs had it. Usually they're not found complete. They're usually missing a whole bunch of bones. The furcula is also really easy to misidentify. It's easy to accidentally dig through when you're doing an excavation. There's a million different ways that you could misidentify it or lose it, or a million different reasons why it might not be present.
The search for dinosaur
think that they all had
begins in a place like this.
And Dyson Dinosaur, how are you doing, Filippo? Hey, thank you for the raid. Welcome, welcome. How was your stream, Filippo? If anybody here is not yet following Dyson Dinosaur, you're missing out. He is a fellow paleontologist who also streams here on Twitch. And hello to you too, Filippo. We're about to wrap things up here pretty soon, but of course it is Thanksgiving Day here in the U.S., hence why I'm dressed like a dad right now. This is my my Thanksgiving getup. But yeah. And here they are dissecting, not a turkey, but a different kind of bird carcass. Talking about this. It's good to see you here, Filippo.
Fossil wishbones are one of the most important pieces of evidence we have that birds descended from theropod dinosaurs.
So actually, one of the similarities between birds and theropods and how we know birds are theropod dinosaurs is inside their bones. This is another one of those tibiotarsus bones.
Drumstick bones.
Drumstick bones. And I have channeled all of my rage and broken this one in half. You can see that the walls of the bone is very thin. And
it's hollow.
Basically hollow. So when people say, oh, birds have hollow bones, that's what they mean. There's a very little spongy bone on the inside, and it's just a very thin wall, which makes it easier for them to fly.
Theropod dinosaurs have these hollow bones too. So did that help them be like more agile, you know, go in for more Jurassic Park type kills?
Right, that's a great question because theropods had a lot of the characteristics that modern birds do, but they didn't fly. So these characteristics must have been helpful for them to do other things, and hunting is definitely one of them.
That's
made a question there from Notcher. What's the likelihood of me finding a dinosaur fossil in Connecticut in the ground? Not high. I'm glad that you put in the ground, you specified. Connecticut isn't really known for dinosaur body fossils. If there's one thing that Connecticut is known for, dinosaur paleontology-wise, it's footprints. Let's see if I can show you a video.
Finding the
Let's see. Here's more Bacher. Yep. Oh, you already know about Dinosaur Trail? Well, there you go, Notcher. Okay. Used to run their website? That's cool. Pretty much all paleontologists agree on this nowadays. Yeah. Yep. This is in Connecticut, by the way. So if any of you are along the east coast of the U.S., if you're ever passing through Connecticut, or if you live there, check this out. I think it's Dinosaur Valley State Park in Connecticut. Really cool. Yeah. This is before anybody really knew what dinosaurs were. These footprints were being studied. And what did Hitchcock realize? Yeah, Buckland. Anyway, I'll give you a link to this video, which is really good. But yeah. And when was that, Kleber? I think that was in like the early 1800s. Yeah, when would this have been? Hitchcock began publishing about the peculiar trace fossils in 1836. This is before the word dinosaur had even been coined. That would be 1842. So yeah, cool stuff. And what were all these clergymen doing digging up fossils? Asked Static Life Photo. Well, that's the thing, is that like these were some of the few people who, in that society, had the time to be able to study intellectual pursuits like that. If you're a reverend, it's not like you're working in a factory all day long or, you know, tending to crops until the sun goes down. Nothing like that. It's like, you got a lot of time on your hands. You know, you give a sermon on Sunday, and maybe you do some baptisms or something like that throughout the week, but like, you're often a person of high social class or wealth. You own land, you've got a lot of free time, and you're educated. You can read. These are the people both in the US and in the UK who had the time and the interest and the wherewithal to study fossils early on. Does that make sense? Yeah. And yeah, there you go. Dyson Dinosaur says priests were some of the few people educated in natural history. Exactly. Yeah. So whether it's the Reverend William Buckland in the UK, or Reverend Hitchcock in the US, or who else? There's some other reverends, I think. Was it Mantell? He was a physician. Anyhow, physicians are some other people, medical doctors, who also were some of the first, like, paleontologists. So yeah. Anywho, let's finish this video out, and then I gotta wrap things up before too long.
What's the cool thing about evolution is that something that could have helped theropods that didn't fly in one way, like birds could have taken advantage of that in a completely different way as lightweight for flight, right?
Exactly.
Da Vinci, there
So
you
even
go.
within
Yeah, Da Vinci
theropods,
studied
as we're
fossils.
going down the family tree, there's more branches, and the way that we can tell which one birds fall in is how many fingers they have.
So our chicken, we've got 1, 2, 3 fingers.
Around 200 million years ago, theropods split. One branch kept 4 or even 5 fingers, but a branch called Tetanurae all descended from an ancestor with just 3 fingers. Our bird? 3 fingers. Later, some tetanurans, like T-Rex, even lost an additional finger, going from 3 to 2.
Poor T-Rex.
So to get to the next identifying characteristic of this bird, we're really going to have to dig in there.
I'm just ripping just parts off here. This is it's kind of fun. It's like the Brain Scoop crossed with a cooking show right now.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this entire scene is so macabre.
It's so bad. Like, people are...
The darkest Thanksgiving. Again, you can do any of this with a turkey. It's just going to be a lot messier, which in my book makes it more fun.
Okay, so we know that birds are tetanurans, but is that the last branch, or
the
can we
hips
get
there, right?
like even more specific?
We can get even more specific. There's a few more branches to go before we get to what we call crown birds or living birds. And birds are a specific type of theropod called Maniraptoran theropods. So Maniraptora, one of the characteristics of this group is that the hips point backwards.
Specifically, the rearward tilted bone is a part of the pelvis called the pubis.
So we got our backward face.
And that is not a T-Rex pelvis right there. What was that they were showing? It's not difficult to find references for a Tyrannosaurus pelvis. It does not look anything like this. What in the world? So, here. Tyrannosaurus pelvis. They've got this really distinctive pubic boot. There, it looks like that. Yeah. In fact, that pubic boot is not developed enough. Yeah, it looks like this. Right there. Where did they get that? Ugh. This looks like an alligator pelvis.
So we got our backward-facing pelvis for the Maniraptorans. Is there another branch beyond this?
Yeah, so there's aviale. So aves is part of aviale. Aves is modern birds. And a big difference between the kinds of theropod dinosaurs that you're probably envisioning in your head, like Velociraptor, and birds is a tail. So birds actually do not have tails. This little bit at the end represents what's left of the dinosaur tail, called a pygostyle.
So the pygostyle is the last remnants of a long, fluffy, feathered theropod tail and narrows down the bird-dinosaur family tree even.
And this isn't even, I don't know who did the graphics for this, but like, I could have done a better job. But the pygostyle, these are the fused vertebrae at the end of the tail that the feathers attach to. To find you a better example, pygostyle. It's that nubbin on the end there. So the 16 there, those bones together are the pygostyle. They're all fused up. And there's even a few dinosaurs that develop this on different lineages. It's pretty cool.
Even further. So, birds are avian, maniraptoran, tetanuraran, theropod dinosaurs. And these anatomical features are just a few of the similarities that scientists have used to place birds in the dinosaur family tree.
And so, oh, this reminds me of something that I found this morning that I realized I should bring up on stream. There's a wonderful website called Phylopic. And I actually might want to do a collaboration with them at some point. Oftentimes when you're looking at like a phylogeny, you'll see this. You've got a bunch of like black silhouettes of different critters on the phylogeny. To just kind of show you at a glance, this is the group we're talking about. Whether it's iguanodontids, whether it's tyrannosaurs, therizinosaurs, whatever. You get these silhouettes like this. And rather than like hand drawing these every time we want to do a phylogeny like this for a scientific paper, rather than doing that, you can just grab those silhouettes from Phylopic here. So let's look up, and this is not just for dinosaurs, it's not just for fossil critters, it's for, well, for any kind of organism. Phylopic. So let's look at Meleagris. That is the turkey genus. So here's a bunch of silhouettes for Meleagris here. There's one right there, and many of these are, yeah, universal public domain. Many of them are like, yeah, public domain. Here we go. So you can, free for commercial use. Public domain. Good stuff. So they're freely available, which is really neat. We can look it up for Triorarchuncus, our Alvarezsaur. There's some ones for Alvarezsaurs that you can use. But anyway, back to Meleagris. Is our turkey here. I want to show you this, not just because the silhouettes are cool, but you can click this button right here that says View Lineage, and look at that. So with this, kind of like here where you can trace the ancestry of the turkey back, we did the same thing with Phylopic here. So here's the genus Meleagris. Meleagris gallopava, the wild turkey, is a species in this genus. But that is part of Tetraornini. Phasianidae, this is pheasants and other similar birds. This is the family. Phasianioidea, Galliformes. This is getting more and more and more broad. Galloanserae, Neonathae. These are like the modern birds, excluding the Paleonates. Aves birds, Ornithurae, Ornithomorpha. And you can keep going out and out and out until you get to Avialae, which includes some of these very bird-like dinosaurs. Eumaniraptora, Paraves, Panaraptora, Maniraptora, Coelurosauria, Tetanurae. Again, these are the same ones that we're seeing here. There's Tetanurae. We get to Theropoda, which is right here. So anyway, the point is, this is a really cool tool, and I recommend that you check it out if you're interested in this kind of thing. Theropoda, Saurischia, Dinosauria, Dinosauriformes, Dinosauromorpha, Ornithodyra, Panaves, Archosauriformes, Crocopoda, Reptilia. You keep getting more and more and more broad as you go out. Amniotes, tetrapods. All the way to Sarcopterygians, Osteichthyans, vertebrates, and you keep going out, chordates, until eventually you get to Panmetazoa. These are all the animals. And then all the way out to here, Panbiota, life itself. There's a DNA double helix there. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So Philopic, really cool resource. Here's a link right here. And so one of these days, I want to just draw some dinosaur silhouettes and silhouettes of other critters and just upload them for free use by anybody. There's a few dinosaurs where we don't really have a good silhouette yet. So we'd be providing a public service, and I think that would be a cool thing to do on stream one of these days. So, yeah. Yeah. A special name for these silhouettes? They're just silhouettes on Philopic. Yeah. Anyone may upload silhouettes to Philopic. That's cool stuff. So if you're an artist, you know, you'd like to contribute, it's certainly possible. So I think that might be a cool stream. I'll look into doing that at some point. But anywho, it's the same kind of thing that we see here. Tracing that ancestry.
The birds actually do not have tails. This little bit at the end represents what's left of the dinosaur tail, called a pygostyle.
So the pygostyle is the last remnants of a long, fluffy, feathered theropod tail and narrows down the bird dinosaur family tree even further. So, birds are avian, maniraptoran, tetanuran, theropod dinosaurs.
Yep.
And these anatomical features are just a few of the similarities that scientists have used to place birds in the dinosaur family tree. There's even more, from the shape of their necks, to their weird feet, to, yes, even feathers.
Bingo.
Okay, my holiday dinner is never gonna be the same. It's gonna be way awesomer and a little grosser, but that's okay.
So if you want to do this at home, you definitely can. And if you want to learn more, there's links in the description.
You know, we've taken a deep dive inside of a dinosaur to see what makes them what they are. But what were they like on the outside? And what did they act like?
That is an excellent question. And if you want to learn a little bit more about what colors dinosaurs were and maybe even what sounds they made, head over to my channel where Joe and I explore those questions.
Can we all try to do our best dinosaur sound impression?
Julia Clark there?
Okay, like every holiday dinner.
Anyway.
This one has to end with traditional breaking of the wishbone. Grab a side, guys. 3, 2, 1.
What'd you wish for? I wished for everyone to stay curious. That was great.
And hold it, because it's natural and it's totally fine.
4 more seconds.
Family picture. Okay.
Yeah, good stuff. Anyhow, here's a link to this video here. And let's pull up the turkey command one more time. If you want to grab that. Again, if you're going to be going to a Thanksgiving dinner, or just pull it up on your phone or print it out as a hard copy. There it is, Your Turkey is a Dinosaur Diagram. Share this with your friends and family, and think about the dinosaurian heritage of that bird on your table. Pretty cool stuff. And with that, a happy Theropodsgiving to everybody. We're going to wrap things up here because I've got to help get ready for Thanksgiving dinner. To see if anybody else is online doing some science on Twitch right now who we might raid into. So don't go away just yet. Who else is on? Let's see here. I see Casey is on. yeah, let's go right into Casey Snowart. Good stuff. Everybody, thank you for tuning in with me today. I know it was kind of a weird early stream, but I hope you had fun. I certainly did. It's been wonderful talking about the dinosaurian ancestry of birds with all of you, and I appreciate everybody being named in our credits, from new followers and raiders to the subscribers and the gifters and the cheerers, the people who make these streams possible through their financial contributions. It's the reason I can do this full time. It's a tremendous honor, and I'm deeply grateful to everybody who makes that possible. Likewise to our moderators, our beloved and stalwart mods. Thank you for everything that you do to keep this a safe and welcoming community for everybody, and I hope you all have an excellent day. I look forward to seeing everybody on Monday, I hope. I'll be working on some science stuff on Friday, so no stream then. Next stream is going to be Monday at the usual time, 1 p.m. California time. So until then, happy THEROPODSGIVING one and all. You all take care of yourselves and one another, and